flooding in Nebraska. This is from the Bellevue Police Department. They got a drone up in the air, and they were able to show all the flooding in this area, just how bad it is. And you can see here from some of these aerial shots just how widespread it is. Now, this goes on for miles in many different areas that look just like this, inundated with water, halfway up the homes, if not all the way up to the rooftops. It's just horrifying for all the people that had to leave this area and that are now seeing these images, knowing that everything that they have is underwater and they don't know what they're going to do, where they're going to go. But this once again comes back to the whole thing of knowing where you're living, especially in terms of floodplains. I can't stress that enough. Now, if we go on the other side of the globe, there was a massive disaster with this cyclone that came through Africa, where they're saying 3 African countries have just been smashed by this. They're saying death all over, people clinging to rooftops, clinging to trees, people just waiting it out anywhere and everywhere that they can above the water. The storm has passed now, but as you can see here, looking at this image, this is what most of the towns were left looking like. Just absolutely hammered. So severe flooding globally from massive storm systems, and they're talking about another potential system forming here in the United States that could affect the Northeast. I'll keep track of all that. If things develop, I'll put out more information. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for more info as well. It's been Dabu7. Much love, y'all.
Shalom, Yasharallah. This your brother Dawada from GMS St. Petersburg, Florida, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you all can pushing this truth and sincerity on the 4 corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to just jump into this here quick little lesson, touching on some of the events that happened around the Passover, the original Passover, all right, the first one, all right, because, a lot of people, especially in this Christianity and things like that, they think about this Passover as just a ceremonial thing or things like that, but nevertheless, these things, it's a lot deeper than that, all right. You have to understand that the climate that was surrounding these things, all right. So we're going to briefly just touch on a couple points in there, all right, and from there, you'll wind up seeing, the things that surrounded it. All right. And not just that, around the Passover. All right. Like I said, in these Christianity churches, they would think of this as, just some kind of religious ceremony. All right. But there was a lot of death and destruction and plagues that was going on around the Passover. All right. This is pretty much what was centered over. All right. Basically, these plagues was passing over the children of Israel. That's where you get the Passover from, which we'll get all those things. All right. So nevertheless, we're going to just jump into the scriptures. I'm going to start out here in the book of Exodus chapter 10, and I'm going to just start at verse 12, all right? This is Exodus 10 and 12. So just to give you a backdrop, all right, the Israelites, they was in captivity in Egypt, all right? Because as you understand that Joseph's brothers sold him into Egypt, all right? Joseph wound up being raised up in Egypt as second in command over there. All right. Now that Pharaoh died and the new Pharaoh didn't know Joseph and so on and so forth. But nevertheless, the Israelites had started to grow up, not to say grow up, but they started multiplying in numbers. All right. So they decided to devise a plan against them to pretty much keep them under control or exterminate them pretty much, At least there was a war that broke out and the Israelites joined with the Egyptians' enemies and took down the Egyptians. All right. But nevertheless, the Most High came into Moses, all right, and was telling Moses, he gave Moses a bunch of revelations. Then he was saying, look, I'm going to basically draw the children of Israel from up under the Egyptians, all right, take them from out of captivity from them, all right. So go to the Pharaoh and tell the Pharaoh to let my people go. But the Pharaoh, the Most High said he was going to harden the Pharaoh's heart. The Pharaoh wouldn't let the Israelites go pretty much, all right. So now, just like, there's actually a verse that says, let me grab that real fast. Let me see if I can find it. This is Romans 9 and 17. For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. All right. So therefore, this is the reason that the Most High pretty much kept hardening the Pharaoh's heart. He raised them up pretty much to break them inside of these different nations. All right, so that, let me just read it again. It says, for the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up. All right, he built you up for what reason? That I might show my power in thee. All right, by basically breaking them inside of the heathens, that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. All right, and that's pretty much what happened. This is why we still talk about that story, Exodus, until this same day. All right, but nevertheless, let me get back to Exodus. We're going to go ahead and start here at Exodus 10 and 12. All right, Exodus 10, verse 12. And Yahweh said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand over the land of Egypt, for the locusts, that they may come up upon the land of Egypt and eat every herb of the land, even all that the hail hath left. All right, so the Most High is bringing plagues upon this here land, which is Egypt, where the Israelites were scattered in bondage. All right, so the Most High is bringing down this here judgment, all right, to show forth his praise throughout the whole earth. All right, on the greatest nation at that point in time, Egypt. All right, and then on the Pharaoh and on the greatest military at that same time. All right, but nevertheless, continuing on, it says, and Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt, and Yahweh brought up an east wind upon the land all that day and all that night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locusts. All right, so you have to understand and put this in a visualization. All right, Moses is praying to the Most High. The Most High is bringing these here plagues on Egypt. One of the first, not to say the first plagues, but one of these here plagues is what? Obviously high winds. All right, they have a whole bunch of high winds throughout the whole day and night. All right, then what? Then the locusts came. All right, verse 14. And the locusts went up all over the land of Egypt and rested in all the coast of Egypt. Very grievous were they before them, that there was no such locust as they, neither after them shall be such. All right, so basically there was a whole plague or an infestation of these here locusts. All right, and it was how do they say, of biblical proportion. All right, this was something that, you know what I'm saying, when you see these types of things, you're like, yo, this ain't natural at all. You see what I'm saying? But nevertheless, these were the plagues that the Most High was bringing upon the land. All right, some people, like in modern days today, a lot of people take a lot of the events that's going on today as so-called natural disasters and things just going on. But you have to understand who we are, where we are, and the times that we living in. All right, when you put these things into perspective, like one of the things I say about the Bible, one of the main keys, first of all, the main key to understanding the Bible is the Most High has to put that spirit on you. But nevertheless, in a carnal sense, one of the main keys to unlocking the Bible is being able to translate who these people are. All right, if you're able to, like when they say in Joel 3 and 6, you have sold Judah unto the Grecians, right? So if you know how to be able to translate these names, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, it's talking about Edom, or it was talking about Ham, selling the Israelites unto the Edomites. All right. Now, if you can be able to translate these things, like I just said, Ham sold the Israelites to the Edomites. If you could translate that as the Africans sold the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and in that point in time, the so-called Negroes, all right, to the so-called white man. All right, now you can go out in history and you can actually see these things happen. You see what I'm saying? You see them taking place because now you know how to translate these names that you've been reading about in the scriptures. All right, but nevertheless, when you see this all being played out even till the same day, you can look at it with how the scriptures say your spiritual eyes. All right, you're not looking at it in the so-called carnal sense, like, oh, it's just natural disasters, these types of things going on and so on and so forth. Like what the basically the sea turning red. All right, we had a major red tide situation here in Florida. All right, nevertheless, you have all these animals beaching themselves and things like that, swarms of birds dying and things like that, freak crazy storms and weather patterns and all kind of crazy shit. You see what I'm saying? Like we were just watching in that video with Dabu 7. All right, that's just one of the small things on the list right now. But nevertheless, as you see all these things going out, all right, people will be like, well, what's going on with all this? You have a lot of things going on simultaneously. But just like back in these days when we were being led out of Egypt, these plagues was coming upon the land where we was in captivity, upon our enemies, the people who had us more or less to say under their foot, all right, and onto that land. But nevertheless, you see the same thing going on here today, but it's on a global sense, because this is the end all be all. All right. The Most High is bringing judgment on all the other nations for the things that they've done to us, all these heathen. All right. And then is the main, the main event is going to be what? When the Most High bring these here judgment on Esau, Edom, which he's doing currently. All right. And as you see here in Babylon, these same things is going on, especially around the Passover. All right. So these things aren't things to look at and take it as a so-called natural occurrence. This is just how things are, climate climate change and all these things. No, man, the Most High is turning things up right now. All right. He's got people bugging out of their mind, going crazy. You have all these people losing their mind and just going on massive shooting sprees, people committing suicide left and right. I mean, when you look at it like that in the spiritual sense, man, there's plagues going out, plaguing the whole planet Earth. All right. Things is going, haywire left and right, left and right, and the only explanation for these things is what? The Most High is shaking things up and rattling the whole situation, making some noise, letting people know, here I come. You see what I'm saying? It's like, yo, man, I'm not trying to sneak up on you or nothing like that. I'm letting you know, making my presence known. This is what's about to happen. All right. Just like in these days before the Israelites was led up out of Egypt, there was all these signs and these plagues and wonders that came upon the land of Egypt beforehand. All right. All these different signs and wonders. The same thing is going on here, with the different blood moons. Like I said, this is a plethora of things that's popping off here in America. All right. Especially from the beginning of 2019, man. All right, man, this has been a year full of prophecies coming to pass back to back to back to back. Not just the prophecies, these plagues falling upon this here land. All right. So, as we in this here Passover time right now, all right, these are the same things that you see going on. This is the answer to why all these crazy things is going on around you, and this is why the men of the Lord out here. Let me grab that real quick. This is Ezekiel 37 and verse, Ezekiel, what is that? 3 and 17. Yep, this is Ezekiel 3 and 17. It says, Son of man, I've made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word of my mouth and give them warning from me. All right. So what? And when you go further down, it's basically, let me just read the next verse. When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked ways to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thy hand. So we're pretty much in the same situation and scenario. The men of the Lord are out there on the highways and the byways, giving the children of Israel that they're warning. We see what's coming, what's going on. Most High, basically, let me read this verse 17 again. Son of man, I've made thee a watchman into the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. So again, the Most High has opened up the eyes and the ears of the men of the Lord to hear and see, the things that's popping off spiritually and give the children of Israel a warning. Let them know these things is going on. All right. Just like in this video, again, you might just be learning about the Passover, think it's a feast or whatnot. But at the same time, man, there's a lot of death and destruction going on at the same time, man. All right. And then also, looking at that in a spiritual sense, man, it's also tighten up time, man, because what? Right before we had that exodus up out of Egypt the first time, you had this here these plagues coming upon Egypt. All right. So let me just get back to that real quick. This is Exodus 10 and 15, talking about the locust. Still says, for they covered the face of the whole earth so that the land was darkened. They did eat every herb of the land and all the fruit of the trees which the hail had left, and there remaineth not any green thing in the trees or in the herbs of the field throughout all the land of Egypt. So there was a massive you could say a massive famine, because why? All the locusts came and devoured all the herbs and all the trees and things like that. All right. Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron in haste and said, I have sinned against Yahweh, your power, and against you. All right. And that's the same thing going on today. All right. Except for the white man. He got he proud as hell. You know what I'm saying? He just turning up more and more and more, as the scripture said he would. All right. Verse 17. Now, therefore, forgive, I pray thee, my sin only this once, and entreat Yahweh your power, that he may take away from me this death only. And when he went out from Pharaoh and entreated of Yahweh, Yahweh turned a mighty strong wind, west wind, which took away the locusts and cast them into the Red Sea, and there remained not one locust in all the coast of Egypt. All right, showing you that what this locust situation is not a how you would say it carnally, a freak of nature or a natural disaster or anything like that. No, this is all the Most High is doing. All right. This is the Most High's workings and his controlling. All right. He's in control of all these things, like all these plagues and all these different things coming upon the land of Egypt. All right. It says, verse 20, but Yahweh hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he would not let the children of Israel go. And Moses said, and Yahweh said unto Moses, stretch out thy hand towards heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. All right. So this, hey man, let me just keep reading. And Moses stretched forth his hand towards the heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. And they saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days, but all the children of Israel had light in their dwelling. So what? There was a straight darkness over the whole land of Egypt for 3 days. These people was plagued. They was scared. Shit was popping off. You see what I'm saying? They was all, how do you say, in calamities. They didn't know what the hell was going on. They was running around like chickens with their head cut off. As in these days that we living in now. What do you think is going on in the damn White House with, you got all kind of different calamities and perplexities and things going on. A lot of it is smoke and mirrors, yeah, but at the same time, overall, if you look at the so-called health of America and the mind state of all these people, man, everything is in chaos right now, man. Everything is crumbling and falling down right here in our eyes, all right? We're witnessing all these different things. All these plagues are falling upon America, all right? But what? Some people are still blinded to these things and they, oh, this is just how it is and so on and so forth, all right? It says, verse 24, and Pharaoh called Moses and said, go ye serve Yahweh, only let your flock and your herds be stayed, and let your little ones go also with you. And Moses said, thou must give us also sacrifices and burnt offerings, that we may sacrifice unto Yahweh our power. Our cattle also shall go with us, and there shall not a hoof be left behind. For therefore we must take to serve Yahweh our power, and we know not with what we must serve Yahweh until we come thither. But Yahweh hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go. And Pharaoh said unto him, get thee from me, take heed to thyself, see my face no more, for in that day thou seest my face, thou shalt die. And Moses said, thou hast spoken well, I will see thy face again no more. All right, let me just continue on. This Exodus 11 verse 4. And Moses said, thus saith Yahweh, about midnight will I go out into the midst of Egypt, and all the firstborn, this is, basically the Most High speaking, and all the firstborn of the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservants that is left behind, that is behind the mill, and all the firstborn of the beasts. And there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like any more. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue, against man or beast, that they may know that Yahweh doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. So basically, so nevertheless, the Most High is still telling you basically here, this is pretty much like what the Passover is signifying. All this death and destruction is coming unto the firstborns of all the, not to say all the firstborn of Egypt, but even the beasts and the cattle and things like that. So not only the people, but also the beasts. All right. So just imagine that. All right. Just imagine this happening here in America. All right. Everybody here with kids. All right. If you at least got one kid, your ass is having a loss. All right. So just imagine the wailing and the crying and the sobbing from house to house, neighbor to neighbor, every single house being touched, save the Israelites that put the blood over the doorpost where the spirit of the Lord passed over. All right. So nevertheless, there was mass death and destruction in the land of Egypt. All right. So this is all actually before, the grand exodus, before they actually left out of the land. All right. So all these plagues is coming upon the land of Egypt prior to them actually leaving. All right. Death, destruction, locusts, the sea turning red. You see what I'm saying? All these different things, hailstorms, massive winds, a great darkness over the whole land. And then again, of course, like I said, all the firstborns dying, man. You have to just understand that. Just imagine this on a small level, man. Everybody that works, let's say in this hotel, just one hotel, or let's just say the local Walmart, whatever your local Walmart is. Let's say everybody in that local Walmart had a death with their firstborn child. All right. Everybody is somebody's child on the planet Earth. So imagine that. You see what I'm saying? All the firstborns dying. Not saying if you got a little kid, they 5 years old, whatever, whatnot. Nah, if your ass is an older person and you the firstborn, your parents had about 5 kids, the firstborn is gone. Even up all the way up to the Pharaoh's house, down to the maid, to just some regular ass people who didn't have shit to do with none of this. All right. They was being touched too. Same thing that's going on here in America. All right. Because why? The Most High deal with judgment on whole nations. It's not a individual type of thing, man. Your whole nation gonna wind up catching it. All right. I'm pretty sure there was some Egyptians that was so-called nice to the Israelites, it might have been friends with them or whatever, whatnot, did, so-called good by them the whole time, whatever, whatnot. But guess what? They was touched too, because why? They was basically of that nation of the Egyptians that was putting their hands on the Israelites. So this is why, you know what I'm saying, they was getting their judgment. Same thing going on here in America, man. There's not a so-called Edomite household that's not being touched with some kind of plague or anything like that at this point in time, man. They all feeling it, all right? Every last one of them, whether, hey, man, like, with all these curses coming down upon them with death by despair, suicide, them being hooked on all these drugs and all these different things. These are these plagues that's falling upon all of these modern day Egyptians, more or less to say, these Babylonians, these Americans, all right? This is what's going on right now. We in the midst of all these things, all right? The Most High is casting out pure judgment throughout the whole earth right now. But guess what? A lot of people are still blinded to those facts, all right? Let me grab another scripture real quick. This is Exodus chapter 12, verse 12. All right. So this is, dealing with the actual Passover, where you get the Passover from. All right. Exodus 12 and 12. It says, "For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and I will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And against all the gods of Egypt will I execute judgment. I am Yahweh. And the blood," it says, "and the blood shall be for you a token upon the house where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you." Okay, that's where you get the term pass over from. "And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt." Now, going a little different than this, a little further than this. All right, this is why when Yahushua was saying, look, they had their Passover. He was like, drink of this is my blood, and eat of this is my body, so on and so forth. And you know what I'm saying? That was the sacrifice. All right, just like in these times here, you're supposed to take a lamb, unblemished lamb, and take the blood of it and put it over the doorpost, right? So you're going to be covered by the blood of the lamb, all right? Symbolically, fast forward to today, Yahushua, his blood is supposed to be covering us, right? This is why he died, for salvation unto Israel, all right? But guess what? Well, ultimately, all Israel going to be saved. We're going to all be in the kingdom. But nevertheless, on this here side, as it's written, 2/3 going to be cut off and die here in this here land, all right? So what? That blood is going to be, is basically the same representation here. All right, if you was an Israelite back in these times and you didn't partake in this here Passover while doing what the Most High commanded you and putting this here blood over your doorpost so you could be passed over. All right, let me read this again. Verse 13, "And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt." And so that's like what we're going into today. All right. Now you can actually read this in Ezekiel. And there's a lot of scriptures that go into this. I'll just run through them real quick. You have, first of all, Daniel chapter 12, when they talk about the books being sealed, right? Revelation chapter 5 saying that, the book was sealed and nobody could open the book, nobody but basically Yahushua, right? Revelation 14 says Yahushua was standing on that mountain with 144,000, and they all have the Father's name written in their forehead, and they all had a song that no man could learn, save the 144,000. Revelation 7 tell you exactly who the 144,000 is, all right? 12,000 out of each of the 12 tribes of the tribes of Israel, right? All having the seal of the Father's name written in their forehead. Ezekiel 9 and 4 that these men are on the highways and the byways prophesying, sighing and crying for all the abominations thereof. They received that mark in the Father's forehead. When you go into that word mark, it's talking about an exemption from judgment. All right. Basically, it's the same thing that we talking about here. All right. Yahushua's spirit is resting on the men of the Lord in this day, basically representing that blood over the doorpost. So why? We can get the mark of the Most High on our forehead, more or less, it's not an actual physical mark, more or less to say, but nevertheless, having this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. All right. That's going back to that song that no man can learn. All right. Having this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, because why? That's going to be the stability of that time. This is going to want, just like right here. All right. The wisdom and knowledge and stability of that time. And this, what we read in Exodus chapter 13. All right. The Most High was telling Moses how to deal in this situation. Moses was supposed to instruct the children of Israel. Look, man, death and destruction coming tonight. Put this here blood over your doorpost. You'll be all right. Partaking this here ceremony, you'll be all right. All right. Same thing we out here doing to the same day, man. Trying to raise up the children of Israel, giving them this here wisdom and knowledge and understanding, so that when the Lord bring this here judgment, the judgment will pass over you. All right. Come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, so that how do I say, you'll be exempt from this here judgment. All right. So let me read this again. Exodus chapter 12. I'm going to read 12 through 14. "And I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and I will smite all the firstborn of the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt will I execute judgment. I am Yahweh. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are, and I will see the blood, and I will pass over you. All right, just like I said, when you have that, go into what is that? Ezekiel 9:4. All right, and you blue letter that word. All right, I have my internet turned off right now, but nevertheless, you blue letter that word. It talks about exemption from judgment. The same thing this here blood was representing in those days. It was an exemption from this here judgment that was going through the whole land. All right. The modern day blood is what? The blood that Yahushua shed for us. All right. For the remissions of their sins, so that the Lord, when this time for judgment will come. All right. Because we all right now, not all of the Israelites, the majority of a lot of the Israelites are right here in Egypt today. We in the house of the goddamn Pharaoh right here in Babylon. You see what I'm saying? We in the belly of the beast. All right. Great death and destruction is coming to this land. This is going to be what? The lake of fire, man. All right, and this is, hey man, the minute the Lord know, we know we got a massive target on our back. We know we prophesying saying, look, man, we praying that the Lord rain these thermonuclear missiles down on this bitch ASAP, man. But guess what? We know we standing right here, but what? We standing in great boldness, all right, with faith, the patience and the faith. This is the patience and the faith of the saints, man. All right, we waiting patiently for the Lord to, fulfill all that he hadn't promised us in these here words. And we got faith in them words that what? He ain't gonna leave us out here, man. So even if we see these missiles raining down on us, we be like, the water Yahweh Shem Yahushua, that your word, not to say that your words are true, because we already know that your words is true, but what? These things is coming to pass, and we're gonna have faith that, we did what we was commanded to do, you know what I'm saying? And we're gonna be exempt from this here judgment. All right. We're gonna, the blood is gonna pass over us. All right. That death and destruction is passing over us. All right. We're gonna wind up like the scriptures say, when he returned, we don't know how we're gonna be, but we're gonna be like him. In a twinkling of an eye, we're gonna be changed. So instantaneously, man, we already know how this is gonna be. All right. Same with them. Back in those days, they was in the same damn land. You see what I'm saying? Let's say an Israelite was living between two damn Egyptians, right? And on both sides of them, he hearing death and destruction. But what? The blood passed over them that it didn't touch them. All right. Same what we doing in this here same day, man. This is why we partaking in all these here things, man. This is why we doing what we doing right now, man. So yeah, we're not to say celebrating, or we're observing the Passover and things like that. But we also know, what time it is, man. The Lord is about to bring, not to say he's about to, let's stop saying that. The Lord is already casting out massive judgment, and things just gonna turn up even worse and worse and worse and worse. All right, that's what we getting into. What Revelation 12, Daniel 12, Jeremiah 30 and 7. A time like never before. Even from the beginning, from there was a time it's gonna be a time like never before since there was a nation, even unto this time. All right, and there's gonna be a time of great trouble, even at the same time it is Jacob's trouble. All right, this is what we coming into. All right, this mass, and then they also say you're not gonna be talking about the Exodus beforehand, how the Lord had raised up the children of Israel and brought them up out of the land of Egypt. They're going to be talking about how the Lord brought them up out of the land of the north. All right. So even here, we talking about this here Passover and things like that. And this, when the Lord was bringing us up out of Egypt, man, the shit that's about to go down right here, right now in America. All right. The things that's slated to take place, man, it's going to way overshadow the things that happened back in those days, man. All right. So in these times, it's time to keep your eyes peeled. All right, and spiritually watch, measure the time diligently. Like the scripture say, therefore watch, learn the parable of the fig tree, man. You see all these things happening. Learn how to read the seasons. Learn how to read when it's going to rain outside by looking at the damn clouds, man. This is pretty much what's going on. Read the writing on the wall. See what's going on around you, all right? And make sure that you know what I'm saying, you're doing what you have to do. Like how they was being serious in this time and putting the blood over the doorpost. Oh, shit, man, the Lord ain't playing, man. We see all these plays going on. Let us get our shit right. Make sure that we don't get touched with this same death, man. The same thing that we doing nowadays in these same days, man. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out. Lord willing, this here lesson was edifying unto the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, I can push this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong and shalom.